Ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Ned Zimmer, and I am running for uh, Michigan House of Representatives in District 66.
Why?
I am running because I think that, we have specifically in this area, North Oakland County and a little chunk of Western Macomb County makes up District 66, but in this area in particular, a lot of the Oakland County is one of the richest counties in Michigan, and a lot of the resources, state funding, county funding, federal funding, stays in the southern part of the county in the bigger cities like Royal Oak, Novi, Birmingham, Bloomfield, those cities. And when I looked at who was representing us, it was a extremist MAGA Josh Schriver, who is the one who was trying to overturn Elliott Larson. A lot of his policy isn't focused on our communities here. Um,
Is
and
this the
I,
first time you've ran for any sort of public office before?
yes, I've never run for public office in my life. This is the first time.
Okay. You mentioned that there are establishment Democrats and mega Republicans. Can you define what both of those mean?
Yeah, so I can define it to what it means to me. Establishment Democrats, we'll start with them, um, are Democrats who are elected. It's the Democratic Party is supposed to be the party of the working class. And I think we have gotten away from representing people of the working class and more to representing interests, whether it's personal interests, whether it's um, who's putting the money in the campaign's pockets interests. I think that has overtaken a lot of Democrats in Lansing, a lot of Democrats across the country, um, in terms of, they're paid to represent me, they're paid to represent you. And I don't think that Democrats are doing a good job of organizing. I don't think they're doing a good job of putting a good, strong message out there.
I
Um,
am to s- Go ahead.
no, you're good.
I'm to assume that you are progressive.
I it's funny that you say that because I don't like to conform myself into a particular viewpoint to people. I do have progressive views on some things. I do have conservative views on some things. Um, More progressive than not. And I think if you lean far enough right, you eventually come into a progressive mindset. You'd be surprised at how many people I talk to and say, hey, um, is your electric bill going up? Yeah. Is your groceries going up? Yeah. Um, well, it's inflation or it's this or it's that. And it's, well, yeah, they're saying inflation, they're saying we face these crises and money's so tight. But then on the other hand, DTE is reporting the biggest profits they've ever had
So
last
you would
year.
consider yourself a moderate.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I wouldn't put myself in any specific category. I have beliefs across the board on different subjects. If I had to gun to my head I'd put myself in between a moderate and a progressive Democrat. Yes.
Well, with all due respect, wouldn't you be an example of these establishment Democrats?
I don't think so. No. No, because I don't
That's
I'm
interesting.
not yeah, I understand where you would think that, but I don't think that I would be considered establishment Democrat because um I want to fight the corporation. I don't believe that everything should be privatized. I don't believe that I should be filling my pockets with lobbyist money and corporate PAC money and um, you know, milking the system and insider trading and all that stuff. I think that we have gotten away from actual representation for people. And that's my biggest goal, is to represent the people here, not only in District 66, but also across the state of Michigan. Not a 1%, not the elites and the corporations that are, kind of dictating policy right now. So in that sense, I guess, yeah, I guess that's a little bit progressive too, right?
I haven't checked. Are you running up? Are you facing anybody else in the Democratic ticket for the
No,
nomination? No, so you're the
Democrat,
only Democrat.
yeah, Democrats they don't really run here. Um,
I was just getting ready to make that. I was just getting ready to make that point, Ned. And this ties into my next question. You know that district has at least, if I'm being generous, a 66-67% voting on average in the last two cycles.
you mean percent
So
of population that's voting, percent of adult population that's voting?
no, I'm just reading here. 2022, Schriver won with 60, nearly 65%. Then
Oh yeah,
2024,
yep, yeah,
68%. So
yep.
let's just say 66%. So it was kind of like what of a 2 to 1
Yeah, it's a plus
odds.
30 red, yeah, it's a plus 30 red district. Yep.
Yeah, so I was just getting ready to say, do you genuinely think that you could win? And by the way, yeah, actually, you know what? I don't want to load the question up. Just go ahead and answer that one.
Yeah, I think I can win. Yep.
How are you
I think
certain?
I think that it's a matter of I think that it's a matter of getting in front of people. I don't think traditional politicking is going to work here. I don't think, what I've been told is you have to raise money. You got to be, call banking. You got to be doing house parties and you got to be doing all this stuff to raise money. And I don't think that's going to work here. I think it wouldn't matter how much money I raise if people are stuck in this viewpoint and don't ever see the person, that's supposed to be representing them. Um, I think that's, kind of the downfall, along with straight voting, just straight red ticket. Now, with the stuff that's going on at the federal level, with, all the stuff going on across the country, I think that if I can get in front of enough people and say, hey, let's focus on our local politics, let's focus on our county politics, let's focus on bringing resources back to District 66 and show people that I'm
Is
just a regular.
Schriver, I read that Schriver was not planning on rerunning for his seat. Is that accurate?
No, he's rerunning. He
Oh,
said
okay.
that he said that he had a vision from God or something, and he told him he was going to be here for 12 years. So um that is, as far as I know, where he's at. He's, you know, gonna be here for as long as God will have him, I suppose.
Until like 2034, it seems.
Yep.
Yeah.
That would be, I think, the end of his term. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, has Shriver done any sort of town halls in the district since he's been in office? None?
None. I've seen. So I'll tell you.
Why?
I have no idea. I've called it. So this is another going back to the first question of why I decided to do this. When I first read his he boasts about being one of the only state representatives in Michigan that will record why he voted what on, on what way. He's like one of the only one of eight or something in Michigan that do that. But if you go on and look, it's like barely a sentence answer to everything. And anyway, the reason I say that is I've had numerous people tell me they've never seen him. I tried myself calling his office several times, emailing, leaving messages on Facebook, never got a reply, never got any response. So that's one thing that kind of geared me up. Now, over what he does do is he does say he's going to hold town halls. Um,
That
and
is so weird. By
I
the way,
agree,
what's the name of that business you said? Not the church, but the business. I forgot. What was it?
Johnny Black's
What is
like
that?
it's a restaurant in Lake Orion. That's the other
Okay.
thing. That was Lake Orion's not even in his district, but he was supposedly holding a town hall, at the restaurant, out of district, and then didn't even show up to it.
Let's talk about some of the policies that you're running on. What are they?
First and foremost, education. You're gonna, at the state level. Let's talk. I want to. A lot of people, with what's going on with the federal government, want to blow everything up. And I agree that, we have people at the state level, especially in the state representatives. Matt Hall being one of them, Heritage Foundation, um, Freedom Caucus, Josh Schriver, Steve Carra, the MAGA, Matt Maddock. Um, we have to protect the people in the state from those extremist politicians. Um, so that's one thing, and from the federal government, um, overreaching and basically violating our rights, as not only as a state but as American citizens. So in school funding.
Okay, so
Um,
pause for a second. Going back earlier, you were mentioning something about tax raising or something along that effect. I just did a interview with someone earlier and they brought up this amendment on a ballot. I don't know if it's either this August or November called the X My Tax. Are you aware of that?
yeah, I know X my tax.
Okay.
Stupid. Another stupid thing. Um, Again, that's um I think so let me just answer the policy question and then I'll get into that. Um, so we have to amend Prop A to account for capital spending for schools. There's some recent studies done that showed that Michigan schools across the state need about $23 billion in building repairs. And right now, Prop A does not account for capital expenditure. So all that money comes out of student aid fund money. That takes away from our students, that takes away from our teachers, that takes away from teacher retention, that takes away from teacher retirement plans, that takes away from our education system. And I won't even get started on the Michigan Board of Education. Um,
What's wrong with it?
oh man, we're loading it up. Um,
I mean, well, the thing is, though, isn't the State Board of Education, I won't say it's majority Democrat, but it's close to losing its edge.
Yeah, yes, it is. And that's the thing is it's these establishment Democrats, business as usual, ignoring problems, putting small band-aids on problems that aren't, it's not fixing the root cause. And we're going to continue to struggle in these areas until we fix the root cause. And that's something that I'm not scared to say. I'm willing to stand up and go to Lansing. When I get elected, I'm going to go to Lansing. I'm going to say this is the problem. And to me, these issues are fairly obvious that these are the problem. These are the root causes. We can find them, and we need to start working to fix those root problems. But so education, top of my, one of the top of my priority list. Affordability is next on my priority list. We have these.
Crunch the numbers of all three of your proposals, if you would care to go into that.
So you're saying like, for
Like financially, how will all of this play out? In order for your priorities to be in effect, talk to me about the financial aspect of those policies.
so in terms of, um, so disclaimer, let me just give a disclaimer out for, because we don't have, 7 hours to sit here and talk. So I'm gonna try to keep
I
this.
know. Okay, so let me just correct that briefly. Just give me, just like the lowdown on how all of that would be implemented into practice.
Yeah, so we'll start with amending Prop 8 to account for capital expenditure. Um, what that does is that alleviates municipalities, local townships, local villages, your city from having to go to the taxpayer, for mills to support capital expenditure. How you pay for that is you allocate state money now, instead of saying, okay, we have to strip this resource from student aid fund in order to pay for this border, in order to pay for this boiler, for this new roof. Now we say, okay, we let me back up a second. So when we amend Prop A, we're going to create a new state funding formula based on research done by David Arson at Michigan State University. There's a big report he did.
No, no, no,
Um,
go, no, 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 just finish.
um, so regardless of what I think about that, the path, the carpet was laid out for them to come into the state and build data centers. And I think if that's the path that we want to take moving forward, if that's something that our government sees as necessary to keep Michigan, the Michigan economy moving forward, which I don't necessarily think that's the case, then we have to put forward very tight regulations, very tight stipulations, and make sure that our people are protected, make sure that our communities are protected, and make sure that our, um, natural resources are protected. And if they are going to come in, they need to pay for it. It's not going to be, these are multi-billion-dollar corporations that are buying up this land and building these data centers. And in my opinion, it would be stupid to not have a very long legal document, a legal,
Okay.
um,
I read that there is a woman in Georgia who took offense at a joke that which you later said was kind of out of line for you. She was upset because you made that joke. And I think it has something to do with the fact that RFK and Donald Trump made some connections with aspirin to autism, and you made that joke. She didn't take it too well.
yes.
How's that going? She's still, and I'm a little confused. She's not even in Michigan.
Yeah, man. I mean, you got
Why
online,
does she care? How did she even find you?
man. I have no idea. The joke. So I wasn't even. It was a joke. Um, and I said, somebody made a post, and
By
it
the way,
was.
Ned, I'm not getting on you for having said that. But I was just wondering what was that all about?
Yeah. I'm gonna explain to you. So there is a post, of the former, the former Health and Human Service, director, who was a trans, man, and, it was basically a right wing Facebook page, and they were making fun of the former Health and Human Service secretary. Um, and they basically had a picture of, a white guy in a suit saying this is what like a real health and human service person is supposed to look like, not this. And it was just funny to me because of the qualifications um, that she had compared to the guy that they pictured. And I made a comment on the post that said, um, I took some Tylenol for a headache, and now I have a weird obsession with trains. So that was
Well,
the
then
comment that it kind
I
of.
don't know if that amounted to a lawsuit. I mean, she's based in another state.
Oh no,
I mean,
this
personally,
was
I kind of wish that you had blocked her if she was
so,
wringing
well.
her hands
So
over
the
that
lady,
joke.
and so the lady in Georgia wasn't the one who was attacking me. It was a lady from Warren
Oh, okay.
that was doing a lot of the slandering and a lot of the commenting on my Facebook, and
I would have
and
blocked her.
so that
Why
so
haven't you did that?
yeah, so I didn't really reply to her a lot. I think I replied to her twice. And after the first reply, the second reply was basically, "What you're doing is liable. Please leave me alone." And it kind of stopped after that.
Hmm. Well, what's the update on that? Everything is okay now? You don't
Oh
have
yeah,
to file for defamation or, well, as you call it, slander.
no, no, no. I'm not
Okay.
worried. It's water under the bridge.
Right. You said you're a father, right?
Yes,
How many kids do you have?
or
4 kids.
yes.
Wow. What's the oldest? What's the youngest?
It's like a 10 to 10 months.
10 years, 10 months to 10 years.
Yes, sir.
Are they okay? I've interviewed somebody earlier and they said, well, I don't even know if they said their kids. They said their spouse was one of the reasons why they chose to run for office. Are your kids the reason why you chose to run?
Definitely a major part of it. Yes, I would. Seeing where we're at. I mean, one of the big. I mean, you always want to protect your kids, right? That's my legacy, and they are, my world. So you always want to protect your kids first and foremost, and the way things are going, you're supposed to have people in your community that are good mentors and good leadership, and I don't see that here. And especially, not only in District 66, but in the state of Michigan, we've let culture wars and we've let politics get in the way of actually paving a way for a better future for our kids. And as I turned 40 this year. My birthday's